I have an odd question. How good was the hearing of the last person to whom you spoke? It's hard to know. Maybe you were trying to convey something concrete, but if it was something more abstract, what did they hear? In the absence of any other information, we tend to project our own hearing onto others, and we also tend to overestimate our own hearing. So if we're trying to be empathetic with others with respect to their hearing, we're coming at it from a very bad angle. I want to talk to you tonight about oral communication in the era of the mask. But before we get into that, let's take a look at sound measurement. What you're seeing here—
The sound spectrum of my voice is being shown. On the left are the low frequencies, and on the right are the high frequencies. My voice is a mixture of all of it. A tone, woo, will appear as spikes because all of the energy is concentrated in one area. A whooshy sound, psh, or a pop, has energy everywhere. Mixtures of all of it are what we hear and how we communicate. The things that impact our ability to hear and hearing damage itself reduce or mask our perceived levels of sound in all or part of that sound spectrum.
Now, I've said that we often don't know much about other people's hearing, but my absolutely amazing, wonderful daughter has a hearing loss, and I've been looking at her audiology reports for her entire life. Shown is an audiogram of hers, and it looks a little cryptic, but we can zoom in on particular areas. On the right side, we see a high-frequency hearing loss from about 2.5 kilohertz and beyond. That's the P's and T's and S's. It contributes to intelligibility of sound. On the left side, it's not so represented well in this audiogram, but that's the low-frequency area. That's the woo, and that's the sound that powers through noise. So as you might imagine, she suffers from some issues of intelligibility and hearing in noisy environments. And then because her hearing is not equally binaural, some level of localization issues. So hearing loss is one aspect of a hearing challenge. Another challenge that exists is tinnitus. Before we talk about tinnitus, though, I want to take one more look at my daughter's hearing. I've tried over the years to convey to her teachers her hearing loss, and it's difficult to describe. So what I've taken as an approach is I take a popular song, I take her audiogram, I filter the song in the way that she hears, and then I would play that for the school audiologist or for the teacher. Let's listen to Coldplay's Speed of Sound as it's originally recorded. So now let's listen to how that song sounds in my daughter's challenged ear. So you can appreciate that lack of intelligibility there. You heard that it's a muffled sound. So I had a school system audiologist tell me that they had looked at 1,000 audiograms over the years, and that was the first time that they ever knew what one of them sounded like. I found that to be fascinating. I found it to be a little bit sad, too. So back to tinnitus. Tinnitus is a case where we don't have a loss of hearing. We actually have too much hearing, if you will. The person who suffers from tinnitus or tinnitus, it's referred to both ways, can perhaps hear normal spectra, but on top of it, there's overlaid the sound that's generated internal to the auditory canal. So let's look at this video from the British Tinnitus Association, where sufferers are demonstrating the sound that is present in their hearing.
My name is Lynette. This is my tinnitus.
Hello, my name is Zachary, and this is what my tinnitus sounds like.
My name is Sue, and this is my tinnitus.
Imagine trying to make sense of sounds that you're hearing with that being overlaid on top of it. So what about masks? Well, what are masks trying to do? We have our breath, air moving out of our mouths, and we're trying to restrict the air droplets. In the process, we're restricting the air movement itself. A recent study at the University of Illinois evaluated masks in terms of the acoustics, and what they found is universally, the masks reduce high-frequency content, not unlike the hearing loss that we saw before of my daughter. So a mask is actually, for the people who you are talking to, it's simulating a form of a hearing challenge. The impeding of acoustics is not the only way that masks interfere with communication. They also impede our ability to read lips, all of our ability. Now, you might be surprised that I say all of our ability. You say, I don't read lips. We all read lips. It's part of our brain's process to use any clue available to try and discern sound. I want you to take a look at this video that shows a researcher saying a very simple sound.
Ba, 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 ba.
Okay, so that was a ba sound, a sheep. Now take a look at the second video and watch and listen.
Ba, 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 ba.
Did you hear a fa sound? I heard a fa sound even though I know that the soundtrack from that video was no different from the soundtrack of the previous video. Let's take a look at the first video again.
Ba, 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 ba.
Okay, so that was definitely a ba sound. So now I'm going to play the second video. It's going to play twice. What I want you to do is look at him as he's saying it, and then look away, and then look back again.
Ba, 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 ba.
What you just experienced is called the Mcgurk Effect. It's an exploitation of that brain processing that goes in all of our minds. And if you think about it, you as hopefully a hearing unchallenged person can be so manipulated by something like that. It gives an indication that if someone is hearing challenged, then they're really relying on those visual cues, how much of a disadvantage they would be at. So we could use windowed masks. How about that? Well, if we look at the original data from the University of Illinois, we see that the windowed masks actually perform worse than any of the masks in terms of the ability to transmit or allow the transmission of high-frequency energy. So what we've done is we've made it more possible for people to see lip movement, but the message that that lip movement corresponds with has been further damaged. So in that particular case, at best, we've robbed Peter to pay Paul, and we'll probably end up with a net negative. So what is the answer? I actually think that the answer is just to be kind. We're all suffering in this. Some people are suffering more than others, and they're suffering in hidden ways. And so I think that we need to allow ourselves to accept the fact that someone with whom we're speaking is at a disadvantage to us. So if they're asking you maybe 2 or 3 times to repeat what you're saying, it's not because they're trying to aggravate you. They want to know what you have to say. That's a good thing. So, like I said, I think that the best message is just to be kind. Thank you for your kind attention.